My name is DaShaun Hightower, and what makes me sincerely is struggle.
Welcome. Sincerely Ritchurd with episode number 2 featuring DaShaun Hightower. How you doing, man?
Good, and you?
Good, we're doing very well.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
For sure.
I guess we'll just get right into it. What makes you DaShaun Hightower?
I think what makes me myself is that I tend to put my emotions into my clothes. So 9 times out of 10, like, it's how I'm feeling, or like how I was feeling at points in my life. Mm-hmm. So like, it's very like personal for me, but I like it because people relate to it because that's kind of their story. They're like, oh, well, I can take from that, or I can take from that.
Mm-hmm. What helps you create best then? Like, where do you go, or like what mode or mood do you need to be in?
I find that it's always like at a drastic change in my life that I tend to create like the most like perfect things for me.
Okay.
Because it's just like, okay, like I remember when I first moved here, I was like, I don't really know anybody here. So it was like all about finding myself, finding my little niche in Chicago. So I started to come out in my clothes because that's kind of like my outlet. So I'm like, okay, like everything that I'm seeing, I'm experiencing, it's kind of like going into my work.
That's cool.
So how did you get into fashion? Like, what was the background story of how DaShaun Hightower became DaShaun Hightower, you know?
I would say like the first like seed would have to be when I was in high school. I interned for Nordstrom, like in their VP department. And before then I had just like sketched because I really like to draw. So from there it was just like, okay, I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't know like if I wanted to be like, yo, I'm gonna sit here and sketch all day, or yo, I'm gonna sculpt something, and then it just so happened to be fashion because my senior year I was like, I'm just gonna test everything. Whenever I like, I'll commit to it. And it ended up being fashion.
That's real.
That's pretty dope.
How did your move to Chicago kind of influence like your fashion mind and how you create your clothes?
I feel like Chicago taught me how to like hustle.
Okay.
Because I feel like before I came to Chicago, like I was creating like very crazy, like imaginative things, but like it wasn't really realistic. And I feel like coming here, you really get like real life day in and day out. So that started to come into my work too.
That's real.
So I really appreciate it because there is like a very clear aesthetic here, and you could pick up on it and like really shift it to whatever you want it to be.
I feel that. I noticed that you have a lot of custom clothing. Is it mainly custom clothing, or is it fit to wear as well, or?
I would say my first couple of collections were custom clothing because mainly those were just like, I wasn't expecting people to be like, oh, like I really like this. I was just doing it to like almost like therapy.
Right.
So when I started to like really push it, I was like, oh, like I actually have to make these things. So I would tell people like they're made to order. But my next collection that I'm finalizing this month will be more so like accessible as far as like ready to wear.
Okay. Makes sense. I was concerned. I was like, man, I'm trying to buy something. I got to get my measurements done and everything. True that. Has anything kind of hindered you from expressing yourself in fashion? Or maybe your parents or school or something like that?
I think probably like the biggest hindrance for me was myself. As far as like when I first got here, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do this and that and that, and then when it didn't work out, I kind of like was very deflated. And then I stopped working. I spent like a year just like I was lost. And it was like, you should have been like working. Like you should never let someone or like a situation like kick you back. It's just like you should keep going forward. You should have a plan A, B, C, and D.
Right.
And I feel like that big hindrance also like kind of cut my work off in a sense because I started to be like, okay, well you're not really good, or like you can't really sew, and And it was just like, yo, like just put your work out there. If they don't like it, they don't like it.
Right.
Exactly.
I think that's like a key message to people. Like, it doesn't matter what this person thinks, what that person thinks. Like, it's all about me, you know? Like, they'll accept me for me, they'll like me for me.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what
kind
people
of like
want.
who you figure out, like, who's real.
Exactly.
You could always copy like one person's project, but you can't copy their beat. It's like, okay, if you copy like John Galliano, like his last collection, he's gonna make a new collection that's gonna be better than that one. But if you're still going off of that, like, where are you going?
Exactly.
Right. No direction.
When I first moved here, I thought, I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna show my designs to people. I didn't even know, I was expecting like them to hire me and be like, yo, like you're a junior designer, and they were just like, like this is too crazy, like you need to tone it down. So I was like, okay. I started styling, and I would just put my stuff into the shoes and slowly work them in so I could show people like, okay, you could wear that crazy denim jacket and it won't, like it could look like a normal jacket.
Right.
So that was a good business move for me because it was like, okay, now I'm reaching different audiences and it's on my dime. So I'm like, yes.
What would be your advice to someone who wanted to become a designer, get into this whole fashion game? Like you went from Nordstrom to parental, I guess, like blockage, or if you will. Then you went into styling and designing. You know, now you're, you know, where you're at now, being very successful. What would be like your biggest key advice to young designers out there?
I would say just really focus on like your foundation, because a big thing that I notice here is like the older like fashion industry here, they're very like, okay, like I want to know where it's coming from. And like our generation, it tends to be like, yo, like I'm not looking back, it's just all me. And it's like you need to know where they came from so you could use like their experiences, their stories to really like learn. So you won't waste your time making these mistakes, and you'll actually like be like, okay, like I pulled from the 1930s and I have credentials to back it up. I feel like that's the big gap between like our generation and like different generations. It's like they don't think that we actually like try.
Yeah, I feel you.
But we low-key do.
How has, you know, your work impacted the culture? As far as designs, your vision, your creativity, anything?
I feel like when I first moved here, like I was kind of like optimistic, and like even in my designs, they were very bright, like white. And then as I progressed, like you see kind of like more of a sadness start to come out. And I feel like that's along the beat of like society, like the job market, the presidential campaign, like everything. Because you're supposed to, like as an artist, you're supposed to just reflect what you see. So
that leads me to my next question. What's the next steps for your brand? Like, what's the vision for moving forward?
So I've come to terms with the fact that I'm just gonna move into like working with music artists and just trying to like create like stage outfit for them and like really embrace that aspect of it. Because after the show, I was just like, okay, like that wasn't that bad. He was like, go to LA, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna chill here real quick.
Well, shout out to Chicago. Well, I mean, what's stopping you exactly from going to LA? Just the environment or the type of people there? Or?
I think for me, the reason why I like Chicago is there's starting to be a sense of a community. So it's like, why would you leave when that's just starting? Because it's just like everybody is doing their own little thing, and that's why I like it. Because it's not across the board, everybody's going for like the same vibe, the same beat.
All right.
So now it's like I have my own little beat. So now people are starting to be like, okay, I'm gonna come to him for that. So
That's lit.
like just keep growing that.
I love that.
That's dope.
What would you say is your favorite piece of clothing, or what makes an outfit for you? Like, what do you need to have on?
For me, it's just something that like throws it off. Like when I don't know what it is about me. Like I just love to do like a little something just to be like a little rebellious.
Right.
So when I worked for a corporate office, and I would like go in every day, and like I would like dress all nice, and then I would just wear like some sneakers. Or like it would be a really nice outfit, so it's like, okay, like we really can't say anything, and then it's just like, or like my mom hates it, like I like dirty shoes, because like I would just get a nice pair of shoes and just wear them. And every time I go, I'm just like, you need new shoes. I'm like, okay, mom.
Let's talk about this Vanguard Award.
Yeah.
Congrats on winning that.
Thank you.
With that being said, what has that done for your career, and like where were you before you won the award?
I feel like for my career, it's helped me kind of gain a better understanding of like myself on a bigger scale. As far as like, okay, like you're just in Chicago sewing and like doing this and that, but like there are so many other people doing stuff. So like it really opened my eyes to like, okay, first of all, you can do anything that you want, because I didn't think I was gonna win. And second, like it just really lit a fire under me to really push myself and just really embrace my aesthetic, because I oftentimes like doubt myself, or like I'll just think twice, but yo, like it just da 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 da. It's just like, no, go for it. People will like it. If they don't, that's okay. How we were saying before, they'll like you for you.
They'll like you for you.
If it's not for 'em, it's not for 'em. That's it. Yeah.
But even from, I don't know, like now it's teaching me that, okay, like you have this award, you have 6 months, you really need to like work, because after 6 months, no one cares. So I've been like taking meetings and really networking and really utilizing my resources to really capitalize off this award. And it's so much easier because you have the award, so there's a little weight to your name. So I'm like, okay, I feel better now.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. That's honorable, man.
Thank you.
I saw that, I was like, wow, kudos to this man.
So I have an editorial coming up for a book that will be released in August, and that's a feature on me, and pretty much trying to like, it's a follow-up from like the Fashion Vanguard Award. So it was like, you get the award and then they follow up with you.
Right.
So I was like, okay. And they gave me like complete like creative direction, so I'm like, okay, that's gonna be really cool. And then I have another feature coming out in September for Brockton magazine, and that's kind of like it's an indie-based magazine, but it's like Denver, LA, and I think New York.
Okay.
Which I like, because Denver is an interesting market. I've never really explored that market, and it could be interesting to get into.
Like, what gets you up in the morning every day? What makes you just keep moving forward and trying to push that, push the envelope every single time?
I think what pushes me forward is just like the idea of creating a space where it's like you don't have to be like the one version of the Black person. Like there's one Beyonce, and then there's like one, like you have to be like Drake or somebody. And there's so many other girls or guys in between that you could be, and it's just like, I'll just be another example of that.
Right.
Because I had to realize on like a bigger scale, like when you do certain things, or like you have certain accomplishments, like that resonates with people, and like that can inspire them to do something. So your story can inspire somebody. So I'm just thinking like, yo, I'm trying to help the next person.
Sure.
So this is when I first started like experimenting with like different textures and mixing different things.
What's this texture right here?
So this is just, and another thing that I do, like it's bad, but like I take cheap fabrics and I play with them. So that's something that I learned from like older like fashion designers, like Chanel when she first came out. Like she was using was a knit, and knit was reserved for undergarments. But she made it look so good that people started bringing that into their designs. So it's like, you just have to like really know what you're doing. I made these two probably in like August of 2015, and then I made these two in, I would say like January of 2017. These are unisex. Like I've worn this jacket, and I've worn this one too. Like, as I grow, like the level of technique is supposed to increase, so like it's supposed to get more expensive, but like I try to do very simple shapes and then just highlight the texture. So like 9 times out of 10, it's just like very like simple tubular shapes. Like this is like legit a kimono. It's just my take on it. It looks different because I've started playing with it more. So now it's like, this is a simple shape, you only have to cut it 2 times. I could really play with the texture and still give someone something different, but it's kind of reasonably priced.
Well, man, thanks for coming in, man.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Thank you.